I don't know if you guys can hear me yet or not. I'm actually getting an ad. There we go. So hopefully you can hear me now, and we are live. Welcome everyone. Welcome to the original YTPC talk show, or as I like to call it, the reason I still put on a clean shirt. Hope you're all doing well this evening. I'm really looking forward to tonight's show. I'm gonna try to center myself a bit better. There we go. How's everyone doing tonight? Everything looks a little different tonight. Let's see, Brian S., Piano Piper, A. Pipe Man, Full Dawdle, Adita, good to see you guys. Everett Young, hello there. Why do I have this? Oh, that's better, okay. Sorry, YouTube keeps changing things. So I hope you're all doing well. This is gonna be a really, really fun night, I think. I saw you guys had already gotten started in the comments section, which is fantastic. Hello there, Christian. Good to see you. Matt's Gentleman Channel, Smoking Kentucky Piper, Pipes and Bees, Viking Piper, Philadelphia Piper, South Jersey Piper, going right up and down the Eastern Seaboard. Guy Booty Piper, Armchair Piper. Good to see you guys. Mr. Scripto, how are you? And Chuck, good to see you. Abraham Hayek Freehand, sounds nice. So what do we got here tonight? So obviously we're going to be talking to the Artful Codger in a bit, and I've been looking forward to that all week. Ben's a great guy to talk to, and I think you're going to really enjoy that interview. Just a quick reminder, got a giveaway tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. I left the pipe on the other side of the room, but hopefully you saw my video on Wednesday, and you can see the announcement for the giveaway tomorrow has a picture of the pipe. It's a Savinelli Series 3. I always get the numbers wrong, so I'm not going to try to do it. It's a bent pot, and it's a 9mm filter pipe, and I can make an adapter for that if you win and you'd prefer to have it a non-filter pipe. So hope you can join us on tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, for that show and giveaway. They're always a lot of fun, and you might win a pipe. So we've got a stout tonight, and it is this Beam Me Up Stouty coconut stout that I had some time back. Good stuff. Not something I want to drink every day, but nice. Actually, you can taste the coconut in it. And tonight, because of our guest, I've chosen my pipes and tobaccos pretty carefully. So I've got a Medico, which is what I'm going to start with. I've got this is an LL Bean, which is actually made by Graybo. I don't actually have any Graybos that are ready to smoke. I've got one that needs to be refurbished, and just a basket pipe. 3 of the better smoking pipes that I own, 3 pipes that I always enjoy smoking, and 3 American-made and relatively inexpensive pipes. And the tobaccos were chosen as well. I've got some Sir Walter Raleigh. I've got real original Sugar Barrel, and you can't have it. And I even have some old 1970s Velvet, which was actually a kind gift from our guest tonight. And I will start off with the Sugar Barrel. So, Everett, you're smoking a Medico as well. Full Dawdle's having some Haunted Bookshop. Ron H is having some Ready Rubbed. Good stuff. Is everybody out there well? Hey, Paul the Piper, good to see you. Full Smoking Bar, how you doing, buddy? Jack Kurtz, Joffrey Feinberg, Big Dave. Boy, sometimes it seems like I could just sit here all night reading names. I'm sure you'd enjoy that. Pegasus, Adita, that's good stuff. Glad to hear that, Paul. Yeah, it's funny. Every work-related email that I get or send out now has to have "hope you are well" and "take care" attached to it. You know, it's people truly do care, but it eventually gets to a point where it's almost automatic. Just another sign of the times we live in. Pipe Writer, good to see you. Kilted Piper Steve. Peter McPherson. Where is my tamper? Sugar barrel smells just like fresh cut clover hay. I get a bit of a cocoa brown sugar scent off of it. Rob Sherrod, good to see you, buddy. Buddhist scientist. Yeah, although I'm told the sugar barrel matches are pretty good if you don't mind aromatics. So some aromatics have a bit of a chemical flavor to them. If you don't mind that, you may like the sugar barrel match. Chuck wants a quick review of Sir Walter Raleigh. Well, Chuck, if I knew that, I would have started with it. It's a good solid burley blend. You know, I don't think you can go wrong with any of the over the counters. But if you like Carter Hall, if you like Prince Albert, you're going to like Sir Walter. Prince Albert Cherry Vanilla. Frank DeMera, sounds good. Arkansas Mike, good to see you. And the Bearded Piper. Bona Piper's having some brown sugar flake. That sounds good, Bona Piper, and not too different from what I'm smoking right now with the sugar barrel. Desert Pine Piper, how are you? Oh, that was a while back. The Black Frigate review, that had to be quite a few years ago. Cane Stem, it's coming along fine, Steve. Thanks for asking. You'll get an update on that every Monday until it's finished. There's going to be 4 videos total. So you've seen 1, there's 3 to come. Will do, Cliff. Take care and give my best to your mother-in-law there. Glad she's coming home. Boy, Andrew, you're walking a fine line there. But at least you got the velvet to fall back on. Sure thing, Cliff. Sounds good, Piano Piper. Holy smokes! Good to see you, Father. Granger is quite a nice burley. You take care too. Soft vanilla. Thanks, Frank. I wasn't familiar with the cherry. Christian, I think you should hold that question for Ben. He's much more up on the sugar barrel matches than I am. Todd, I don't know what that is. Trigger reel. I'm just giving some time for folks to show up, because nobody's ever on time, myself included. Now, I'll tell you something stupid I did. Those kind of stories are always popular. So I've got my Zippo here, but I can't use it because the flint is out. And I bought, the last time I changed the flint, which is, probably a month ago, I bought a pack of 10 of those little flint things that have like 8 flints in each one. The little thing with the wheel on the top of it. Got it off of Amazon, changed the flint, and then I said, I know I'm going to put this away so that I'll know where it is. I have no idea what I did with it. So I have enough flints to last me for like 5 years in this house, and I can't find them. Driving me crazy. Hey, Briar Fiend, good to see you. Week was fine, Guy. Week was fine. Nothing exciting. As I said on Wednesday, it's a little odd. The time is just starting to all blend together. I think Todd might be having some typing problems. Yeah, the flint disappeared. There's some good pouch tobaccos out there, Smoking Kentucky Piper. Oh, Steve, you perfected that as well. Mark in Rhode Island, how you doing, buddy? I haven't tried the Burley Blend yet, Everett. I keep forgetting to order it. Thank you, AA Pipe Man. I appreciate that. Hey, Over a Pipe, how's it going? Yeah, Buddhist scientist. Prince Albert's not top of my list for over the counters. It's a fine blend. It just, for what I don't remember why I don't tend to go with Prince Albert, but I tried them all sort of side by side a couple years ago, and Carter Hall was still my favorite. It's good that you have them, Christian, but can you find them? Oh, thank you, Monty53. I appreciate that. Yeah, if any of you guys... hey, Peter, the Smooth Piper. Good to see you, buddy. I was fortunate enough to get interviewed for the Pipe and Tamper podcast, and there's a link to that in my Wednesday video if you want to go check it out, or just Google Pipe and Tamper. That was a lot of fun. Mike that puts that together is a really nice guy, and he does a great job interviewing people. So I recommend you go check out Pipe and Tamper podcast. You don't have to listen to my episode, but it's worth listening to a lot of them. Well, guys, looks like we got a full house tonight, which doesn't surprise me, given the notoriety of our guest. positive notoriety, if that's a thing. I'm fortunate enough that I've known Ben for quite a few years and have gotten to know him, and he's a wonderful guy and a fountain of pipe-related knowledge, and knowledge that you don't often get anymore because folks are so, well, he knows a lot of stuff that's been unfortunately lost in the more modern age of pipe smoking, and he's one of my favorite people to check in with if I've got a question, or certainly if I want to know something about a older tin of tobacco, an older pouch of tobacco. Ben's my go-to guy. So I think you're really going to enjoy getting to know him a bit better. And what I will do now is I will attempt to get him on the line.
Hello?
Hey, Ben, how you doing?
Oh, very well, Mike. How are you, sir? How is everybody else doing tonight?
I am doing just fantastic, and from what I've seen, most folks out there are doing quite well. So it's great of you to join us tonight. Been looking forward to this for some time, and I know we got a full house tonight, and that's some testament to the popularity of the Artful Codger.
I think this is just a wonderful thing for everyone to be able to get together and have some laughs, have a good time, smoke a pipe with friends. It is its own appeal, and I'm just a messenger. But I'm glad to be here, and thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Everybody hear me okay?
I'm waiting for some response. I'm seeing a lot of hi Ben, so I'm assuming they can hear you. Yep, we got a fine from Christian.
Okay.
So we're good. So you want to talk about Burley?
Oh, I'm always up to talk about Burley.
No, a couple weeks ago you asked me what we would talk about, and that was the joke. So just trying to get an early laugh out of you, Ben.
Well, actually, I want to ask everybody, because I've been watching the chat, because I was here before you were, Mike, and
Yes.
a couple guys let me know what they were smoking. I'm hoping and trusting that everybody is enjoying the pipe with us tonight. So why don't you guys go ahead and let us all know what you're smoking? All right.
Here they're coming, yep. H&H Kentucky, Carter Hall, Haunted Bookshop, Ready Rubbed.
There we go. There it goes. Now it's starting to come. Now, see, everybody look at that list. You're all keeping the tobacco companies in business. That's good to hear. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point.
Whatever you're smoking, I hope you're enjoying it. I'm having a bowl of, well, you're not going to believe it.
Does anybody want to guess? Go ahead, Ben.
I know you can't stand the suspense. Well, it starts with a V and it ends in Velvet. I'm smoking it in Little Dr. Grable. And I hope you guys are enjoying yours as much as I'm enjoying this. So, terrific.
That is fantastic.
All right, you invited me, Mike. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I'll get to it, Ben. Don't worry. Now, well, first off, Ben, I just want to. I know a lot of people are thinking at this time about all the nonsense going on in the world right now, and I just want to check in with you briefly and ask if you're good and the people close to you are good.
Oh, yeah. Very good. In my area, we haven't been hit very badly by anything. Some places like New York City, and a shout out to Peter. I saw him in the chat before. Some places it's very rough, but here it's it's very quiet. People are taking the right precautions and treating each other very well. I'm working from home, so that's a benefit. Mrs. Codger, she works in the hospital administration, so she is essential and therefore at work every day. And I'm making her very, very jealous. But no, things are going very well. And how about you, Mike?
Good. I'm fine. Everything is great here. Well, it's completely disrupted, but yeah, as far as things can be good, and I just keep reminding myself that there's a lot of folks out there that have it a lot worse off than I do, and I think that many of us do. So I didn't want to bring this down too much, but I just wanted to check in with you and make sure that all was good.
Well, I will say one more thing. I've talked to you about it, and I've talked to a few other guys about it. Once in every generation or so, there's a shared experience, and this might be ours. And it's nice to see people coming together. It's going to change things for a lot of things, as we go forward. But I think there'll be a lot of good that comes out of this, along with the bad we're all going to have to deal with. And I think that what we're doing right now, sort of a new definition of community, is going to have a big role in that. It already is. So, let's all just keep good positive attitudes and enjoy each other's company and the people that we love, and things are going to turn out just fine.
Yep, I couldn't agree more, Ben. And we are getting lots of, I don't know if you're watching the chat go by as well, but we're getting lots of kind words and thanks for Mrs. Codger for what she's doing. So please pass those along.
Oh, well, thank you guys very much. I'll be sure to tell her that. She actually gets annoyed at all of her coworkers because they're really pushing the whole hospital heroes things. Yeah. And she goes, like, what were you a month ago? But, they're all having a lot of fun with it, and they get, we actually have where I work and where Mrs. Codger works, we have a Nestle plant, a distribution plant. And they showed up at the local hospital with boxes full of chocolate for all of them the other day. So that was a nice surprise.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it's good to see things like that. And I think you're right. Something good will come of this, even if it's just people realizing the importance of pulling together at times like this and helping one another. Something as simple as bringing some chocolate to a hospital. So let's get into it then. So
Sure, yeah.
What I usually like to start with is just asking for sort of the abbreviated version of your life story, if you will. So what's your background to the extent you want to talk about that, and how did you become a pipe smoker?
Well, my father and my mother met about a year before I was born. The abbreviated version. Well, if you're talking about my pipe smoking, anybody who saw my last video knows that I'm not really all that old. I owe a lot of that to my grandfather, and I spent a lot of time with him growing up. But I started smoking a pipe when I was 14. Not encouraging anybody to do that, but getting a head start on something that you're going to spend the rest of your life doing ain't a bad thing. But I never had a negative association with smoking in general. I grew up in a family of smokers. My dad was a cigarette smoker when I was born, but he moved to cigars when I was very young and smoked cigars most of my life. Growing up, he's quit everything now, but my mother was a 4-pack-a-day cigarette smoker when I was a kid. My uncles, my aunts, my grandfather, tons, they all smoked, and there wasn't a stigma about it, and it was just something that the family did. So I didn't have a bad association with smoking to start with. Pipe smoking, we didn't have any pipe smokers in the family, although my great-grandfather, he was a pipe smoker, and he died when I was very, very young, like 1 or 2. And I knew about that because we still had his pipes sitting at my grandparents' place. A couple of old Dr. Graybos, and I think there was a K. Woody in there, and a pipe stand. I still do have the pipe stand, but the pipes, Well, let's just say that my grandparents got a good laugh at watching my sister and I blowing bubbles out of my great-grandfather's pipes as a child. So they weren't something anybody had any real intention of keeping, unfortunately. No one, of course, what I know now, when people like you are going to have the damn thing refurbished and been smoking, my great-grandfather's pipe, but that, neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. But my love for pipe smoking actually started when my mother introduced me to Tolkien, and I know you love that, don't you? But she got me interested by having me watch the 1977 Rankin Bass Hobbit cartoon movie. Uh-huh. And even though it didn't feature all that heavily in the movie, they didn't shy away from showing it, even in a kid's cartoon.
Right.
And I had to get the book, and I read the book. I loved it, and Tolkien was such a lover of tobacco. He put it. You can tell when you read his stuff that he loved his pipes, and he put in all these really pleasant associations about comfort and family and home, and it's a sign of good times and good memories. And I guess something burrowed deep in even then. So that's where I fell in love with it originally, and thought it was fantastic, and decided I was going to do it one day. But I didn't smoke my first pipe till I was 14. Mm-hmm. And that came because I told the story on my channel, but for anybody watching, if you remember the 1980 Robert Altman Popeye film, starring Robin Williams and Shelley Duvall.
Sure.
My grandfather and I loved that movie. We watched it all the time. So he thought it was a cute idea to take a picture frame like Popeye and his pappy had each that said, me, Pappy, and me, son. Mm-hmm. But no picture in the frame, right? So he did that, one for each of us, me, Grandpappy, me, grandson, bought us each a can of Allen's brand Popeye spinach, which he opened up, crunched up on one side like Popeye busted the thing open,
right,
and had put green felt into it, and bought us each a Missouri Meerschaum corncob pipe. And we had this little tableau. His was sitting on his dresser at his house, and mine was sitting on a shelf in my bedroom at home. And then one day, in early spring, when I was 14 years old, my best friend got a hold of me and asked if I still had that pipe floating around, because he had gotten himself one in a pouch of Cherry Cavendish, or a bag, one of those 12-ounce bags of Cherry Cavendish from Walgreens drugstore. Mm-hmm. I said, yeah, and he knew I wanted to smoke a pipe, so we got together. We went out behind his garage, and never regretted it or went back since. And, Of course, we did everything wrong that first day, but we were enjoying it way too much to care. No matter how badly you burned your tongue, no matter how many times you had to light that pipe, you were getting away with something. You felt like a grown man in about 22 and a half seconds after lighting a pipe. Even though we were hiding from the adults, it was still just terrific and a real blast. And I never stopped. It was a little more sporadic early on, but after I finally turned 18, after that, I was able to get tobacco. Me and my buddy would pick some up, and we had a friend that worked at Walgreens. That's how he got it in the first place. So the first pouch I ever bought was Captain Black. Actually, that was the first tobacco I ever bought myself. And I really liked that. And then after I turned 18, I was able to go to a place called Tobacco World in Greenfield here in Wisconsin. And then I discovered English, and I discovered all the high-end pipes and all the nicer things. The old guy that ran that shop named Ray didn't have the time of day for me at the time. He looked at me like I was some kind of space alien that walked into his shop. But, I know you have a similar story with the lady that got you started.
Right.
But, after that, I went on an English phase for years, and then Virginia phase, and, the pipes got better and the tobacco got a little finer. But I never really lost my love for the stuff I started with, the simple stuff. And the other place we used to go for tobacco between 14 and 18 was a grocery store in our area. And they actually had tubs of Sugar Barrel. They had tubs of Mixture 79. They had tubs of Captain Black, Prince Albert, Carter Hall, and a couple pouches. So Borkum Ref was another one that they had. So we tried just about all of those too. And Velvet, believe it or not, which I did not like at the time.
That is
But
interesting.
quite a long, boring story. But I imagine it's similar in a lot of ways to a lot of what other guys have done and experienced. You take what you can get when you can, and then you discover the internet, and then then you take everything you can.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was thinking when you were talking about the Cherry Cavendish experience that I think most pipe smokers have a story like that where they started off with something really awful and burned their tongue and didn't know what they were doing, and yet for some reason they continued to do it. And it just shows you that there's more to this than just the tobacco. There's something about the whole Gestalt experience that just keeps us coming back to it.
Oh yeah, and it's important to remember that even though we think a lot of times of those tobaccos as starter tobaccos, the reason we could all find them in the first place is because they're the ones that most people smoke.
Right.
You know, we get very caught up in the whole pipe culture and pipe community and all the fine things we enjoy, but there are a lot of guys who've never seen a YouTube video about pipe smoking out there buying Captain Black and Carter Hall and those things and keeping them on their shelves in all the stores that we can, you know, get our first pipe from. You know, the places that still carry a Dr. Grabo pipe or a Missouri Meerschaum behind the counter. Those
Yes.
people and the businesses that make those blends are the same ones that make all the fine high-end stuff that we all like to enjoy now that we know a little more. But, you know, we have a lot to thank for those everyday blends that people can find easily and buy. You know, even if it's not your thing, you know, us as pipe smokers, we all have to look out for each other and support the business as a whole. And, you know, those blends are the gateway that many of us have used to find this. And it's important to remember that shared experience is there for a reason.
Right. Yeah, it's not only the gateway for most of us, but it's also sort of the financial motor that's keeping the whole industry afloat.
Oh, yeah. There's a hell of a lot more Lane 1Q that gets sold than most anything else put together.
Right, right. So one of the things that really stands out about many of your videos and certainly many of the conversations I've had with you is that you really do seem to have a love of the history of pipes, pipe smoking, pipe tobacco. Is that something that was always there, or is that something that developed more recently for you?
Well, I mentioned before that I grew up with my grandfather. Now, he was a World War II and Korea veteran.
Mm-hmm.
I had more in common, and I liked my grandfather and his buddies better than anybody I knew my age. And there was this love for that time period of American history, of world history, World War II, that started when I was very, very young. My taste in music, the things I liked to wear, the movies I liked to watch as a kid, you know, they were all very heavily influenced by him. We didn't have the internet for a long time. While I was growing up, I'm making myself sound even younger than I am. But we didn't have all that. So I would go to my grandfather's house and we would watch old movies and we would listen to his records. And when I decided to get into pipe smoking, I mentioned before it was Lord of the Rings that really kind of was the initial inspiration. But I very, very quickly realized that there was a time, that time I loved, when my grandfather and his buddies were from, when everybody smoked a pipe. It was a normal thing, and it was okay. And, you know, guys wore those cool hats and, you know, nice old clothes that they used to wear when people knew how to dress up. And, you know, you watch those old 1950s things, you know, Father Knows Best and that, and, you know, like loving families and this picture of idyllic life, and they're puffing on a pipe. And I connected with that right away. And, you know, it was always at the back of my mind. And, you know, it's something I always appreciated whenever I saw it. And, you know, it's sort of built the basis of my position and my take on pipe smoking. Was that, you know, it didn't need to be, or it shouldn't be something that we do in a dark corner someplace and kind of almost ashamed of it. You know, like, bring it out into the light of day, make it part of your day, do it around the people that you love and like. I mean, they're not going to hate you for it. You might get a ribbing, you might get a little criticism from people that don't approve of it, but you make a decision to do something like that in the first place, make the decision to stand up for it.
Right.
And, you know, so it's a mixture of a lot of those things put together.
Interesting. Yeah, and I think what you're advocating for there is that we need to make sure that we keep it normal to the extent that we can. Don't let it become something that's only done in a dark corner, but let people see you and know that there are still pipe smokers out there.
Right. Well, all things change, as time goes on, and pipe smoking has certainly become its 21st century equivalent. But, excuse me, I think the thing that attracts us to it has stayed the same, because there's still this, and I'm sure a lot of guys here will be able to relate to this. If you're smoking your pipe, and assuming it's not some really heavy Latakia blend, which many people might, not appreciate. But if someone goes walking by while you're smoking your pipe, most people have this positive reaction to pipe smoking. Even though many of them have never known another pipe smoker, or they haven't seen one since they were little kids.
Right.
So we already have a little bit of an advantage with that positive association that other kinds of smoking don't have. And it brings to mind people warm, nostalgic memories and fondness for when they were younger, or people that they knew then. And, that's not going to be around forever. So every single one of us that lights up a pipe today is a bit of a torchbearer for an older way of living. And, something that was once a very common and perfectly okay thing to do, we're the ones keeping that alive today. But the more we keep it to ourselves and the more private and secluded we are with that, the more it's going to continue to fade from people's memories. And, the harder time it's going to be for anybody else in the future who wants to have a pipe, then they're not going to have that benefit. So, making sure people know it's okay, and that, you're going to take some time, you're going to learn what you're doing, go at your own pace, smoke what you like, relax, enjoy it, but let it be normal and let it be part of your day. I guess that's sort of at the heart of a lot of the videos that I've done, and try to encourage people to be patient and take it easy and focus on enjoying your smoke.
Yeah, and you definitely have put that message across and done it in a good fashion. So I'm curious what your thoughts are on so what you just described is sort of like keeping the public educated, but there's also keeping the new smokers educated. And as you pointed out, it's often difficult to get started. Sometimes we make a lot of missteps along the way, and usually there's someone that comes into our lives that puts us on the right track, in a sense. Do you think that that's an important part of what we do, and how can we do that better?
Well, I think we have a tremendous advantage doing this today. We're doing it right now. Sitting here together in a virtual room with how many now? 130 some people, 134 people, it looks like.
Yeah, 36.
All of us are sitting together. Most of us, I'll warrant, are probably smoking the pipe.
Yeah.
And we have this wealth of information and, a connection with other people going through the same thing, and people to talk to and share in this interest. It's wonderful. I think it's the closest that we've been in 40 to 50 years to the everyday sort of acceptance that we might have gotten when the kind of people we saw walking down the sidewalk might have been smoking a pipe. We can't do that out there, but we can sit here in the digital world and have that experience where it's okay here. This is a place where people that smoke a pipe get together and enjoy it without having to, worry about what someone may say or someone may think, or whether their employer will find out, or something like that. Mm-hmm. But I think we owe it to each other and to anybody else out there that might be looking at these videos or might see us driving down the road or sitting on our porch smoking a pipe, to be good ambassadors for it. Because, as I said, we have an advantage we never did before. And because we still have that positive association and the memory of the world of what a pipe smoker is or was or could have been, maybe some of it is a little bit idealistic, maybe a little unrealistic, with the 1950s idea of father knows best sort of deal. But, people still want to believe in that. And in a weird way, pipe smoking it can evoke that a little bit, and it can, by virtue of doing so, I think it can encourage guys and ladies and anybody else who wants to do it to embody that sort of character a little bit more. Like, hey, I'm a grown up. I'm an adult man, and I'm taking care of my job. I'm doing a good thing with the work I do. I take care of my family. I take care of my house. Been a long day. I'm going to sit back and have a pipe. And I think that has appeal to people. And I think when you can connect with that entire generation of people, it gives a little bit more legitimacy to, the things we do. And I know that's maybe a little esoteric and a little odd to think about, but, pipe smoking is, in my mind, a specific decision to make in the 21st century, and people will make it for all kinds of reasons. And I think that that's kind of what keeps me going with it, I think.
Yeah, well said.
Besides really liking it.
Yeah. You mentioned lady pipe smokers, and that brings up something that I actually wanted to ask you about a while back, and just haven't had the chance to. So, back when I was interviewing Steve and Kathy Ennis, Kathy told a story about, I think it was an aunt that gave her a pipe that was sort of an antique, what she called a lady's pipe. And we see women smoking pipes today, and there's more and more of them, which I think is really wonderful. And we kind of view that almost as something new, but it seems historically that's not the case, that there probably were quite a few women pipe smokers. Do you know anything about that history? Sorry.
Well, I would be lying if I said I had any specific information. I know that there are a lot of 19th century portraits that can be found where the lady has a small clay pipe with her. I know that in the 1940s, they made these small jeweled pipes. I've seen them for sale a number of times. I owned one and I gave it away. But they had little small, they weren't jeweled with real jewels, but, that costume jewelry type thing. Little rubies and diamonds and things studded into it along with floral patterns, and of a considerably smaller size than you might see. Smoking itself was seen as an elegant thing that men and women both did back then. And pipe smoking was always more economical, and it always had more flavor. The things that attract us to it today, apart from being an alternative to cigarettes, it always had that appeal. And it being more economical was a huge part of it. So I know that there were women back then that enjoyed a good full pipe as much as they do today. And I think that's important, that it be as inclusive for everybody that wants to do it, because, it's equally enjoyable by everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, but I figured if anybody would know it would be you, and you knew a lot more than I did. So I appreciate that. Nothing
specific, but I know that I've seen those ladies' pipes. One's from Italy and France. I can't recall seeing an American branded one, but that doesn't mean they didn't make them. But I know I've seen Italian, French, and British ladies' pipes along with those clays I mentioned before.
Right. That's interesting. So I want to, in a minute, move on to see if there's any questions from the folks in the chat. We're now up to 145, so you're very popular, Ben. But one last thing I wanted to ask you before we go into that, and that's about your YouTube sort of style, if you will. You've got a very unique style, and I know a lot of it comes from things you've already talked about. I'm just wondering what it was that originally sort of drove you to do that. Was it just a form of artistic expression? What was your thought process behind the whole development of the Artful Codger?
Oh, I hope I don't disappoint too many people. To tell you the truth, by the time that I started, how long has this been now, Mike? Like 6-7 years now we've been doing this together?
Yeah, it doesn't, something like that, yeah. I'd have to count.
Even by then, I had gotten to a point where I couldn't afford to put a lot of money into the hobby anymore. I would say that I'd pretty well settled back down into smoking a lot of the, over-the-counter bulk blends and other things. I mean, I was still very much buying and trying different things, even then when I started. The style of the videos, because for those who might be newer subscribers, I had another channel before the one I have today, and I was behind the camera all the time on that one. But even then, I did these weird, goofy little videos where, I'll put on some silent film, piano, ragtime piano, and I was cleaning a pipe with film grain showing and looking like an old, old bit of film. A lot of the reason I did that is I had the ability to do it. I thought it was fun, and frankly, I thought people would hear me talking about the same tobaccos and showing the same pipes and find it boring. So it was just a fun way to change things up, do something a little bit different, and entertain people, because I believe that, you don't make videos just for yourself or for one other person. It's out there for the public, for everyone to see it. So if they tune into my channel, I wanted them to have a good time, maybe have a laugh, maybe, just take them away for a little bit. And I saw my job as an entertainer as much as anything else. So, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but mostly I didn't want to be boring. Not that other people are.
Right.
I just, I wanted to do something a little bit different, because I didn't feel that I had as much to offer as far as, here's the new pipe I bought today, and here is, I did that One Velvet documentary, but the research involved in doing that was way more than I wanted to put into YouTube usually.
Right.
And, it was just a way to provide something that people seem to enjoy. And I had fun doing. Still do.
And I think that's important. I think if you have fun doing it, then folks are going to have fun watching it. And that is clearly the case. I mean, anytime your name comes up, the next thing that I always hear is, aren't his videos fantastic? How does he create that feeling that you get when you watch them? And also, you've done an excellent job with it, and it shows that you enjoy doing it.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoy it.
So, with that, how about we see if there's any questions in the chat room?
Oh, sure. I know I got a little bit of a delay. I got the video playing here on another device, so I can take a look. So the last comment I see is Peter here at 747, and he said, "We do, Ben." So I'm looking. If anybody's got any questions, we could go from there. All right. There's personal questions in there. Let's talk about tobacco and pipes.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this. I mean, I've said it in my other videos. The work that I do is fairly public. The reason I had to change from behind the camera for the most part to now, for the most part, not behind the camera, or behind the camera, not in front of it, was because the public job that I have, it puts me in a position where our content shows up outside, and my original YouTube channel was tied with my Google account name, my actual real name. So if anybody in respect to my work had looked up my name, they would see the YouTube channel with the pipe content, because we had more followers, and it even then, had a bigger following than the actual work content. So I made the decision that I was going to go behind the camera, create a new channel. It's been quite a while, and it's not really presenting itself as much as a problem anymore. So that's why I just did a video where I sat in front of the camera for the first time in a good long while. So, okay, let's see here. Anything else?
There's a question about bulk match blends, I think, from Everett.
What's your question, Everett?
What would Ben recommend for bulk match blends?
I'm going to say the same thing I tell everybody. It depends on you. There's a lot of great stuff out there of all different kinds. You guys know Eric. I think he's floating around in the chat here somewhere. I think I saw him. Eric's a good friend of mine, and he and I have very differing tastes in tobacco. Now, we both appreciate just about everything, but he prefers his Burley Latakia, so-called classic American mixtures. And I'm not an enormous consumer of Latakia. Not that I don't like it. It's just I personally prefer Burleys, and Orientals are the two things that I like best. So, it depends on you. And once you get a good feeling for what you like, there's tons of great options out there. And again, that's where this community that is so nice, because you can learn about something that's out there that is right up your alley that you might never have heard of or seen before. So, Everett, I think you already know what you like. You were talking about HH blends and things before, and I think you know where to find that. I would suggest you look up the ingredients and find a bulk blend that has similar contents. You'll find one.
So we had another tobacco question. What blend that's gone do you miss the most? And that's from Full Smoking Bar.
Oh, man.
That's a tough
You know
one.
what it is? It's that beautiful tin that you had in the beginning of your video tonight, Mike.
I just finished a bowl full of, yeah.
I loved Sugar Barrel. I thought it was delicious. They stopped making that in 2014. John Middleton, they are underrated as a tobacco manufacturer in my mind. And again, we have all those stupid cigarillos that they make to thank them for keeping them in business all these years, but they had to trim down their offerings an awful lot back then, and then we lost Walnut and Sugar Barrel and others that, Wineberry and other really good tobaccos that now we can't have, but Sugar Barrel with the cinnamon, brown sugar, light sweetness, it was terrific. And I know somebody asked earlier on about my thoughts on the Sugar Barrel match. It's delicious. I enjoy it. It's chunkier than all get out, and it needs a good breakdown before you smoke it, in my opinion. But it's not Sugar Barrel. There are some matches out there that are very close and very good, but that one, I don't think they got it quite right. But it's still out there for those who want to find it and pay a pretty penny. You can try the original, but my opinion on that is mixed too. It's why hunt down a tobacco that you can't get more of? I tend to stick with low-cost bulk products that I can pick up any day I feel like I need it. And, for me, it's mostly about enjoying the smoking as opposed to the having and the buying and the collecting. And I know that a lot of guys are very much into that, but at this stage, I just like sitting back and lighting up a pipe or going out and cutting the grass with a pipe smoking, and
Yep.
I think that there's good matches out there, but the Sugar Barrel one is not close.
Right.
Okay, I see a question there about using less PG in OTC blends than in the past. I don't think that they are. Propylene glycol was in use in tobaccos as early as the 1930s, and it's always been added to those products to keep them fresh. Because back then, a soft, fresh, wet tobacco was not wet, like whipping wet, but fresh tobacco was ideal, and things were promoted keep your tobacco fresh. They didn't age and dry out tobacco the way we do today. So I have no doubt that they used it quite liberally, and I've had tobaccos that were well sealed from the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and they were made the same. I always tell people the old velvet is delicious, but so is the new velvet, and it tastes very much the same, except you imagine it being stuck in a tin for 50 years, and the top note fading off of it a little bit, but the tobacco itself, the cut changed, but the flavoring, the top note, that one I like because they kept it the same all this time. But no, I don't think that there's a huge difference in that unless it is related to price or manufacturing changes.
Right. Yeah, I'm actually, believe it or not, smoking velvet right now, and it's this. You gave this to me a couple years back. This is that. I think it's from the 70s. You said.
Yeah.
The tin of it, and when I opened it up, I rehydrated it a bit, and the first bowl that I smoked, what struck me, without question, the thing that was most remarkable about it was the fact that it tasted just like velvet that I got off the shelf a month or two ago. It just amazing.
Exactly, and
I just can't believe how consistent they can be over the years, because tobacco changes, the process changes, and yet somehow they're able to maintain that. It's amazing.
I think that comes from keeping things simple, Mike. If you have a tobacco that has one or two ingredients with a pretty straightforward, basic top note, it's going to be a lot easier to keep consistent, and that's hence my particular taste in tobacco. I like to know exactly what I'm expecting when I put it in my pipe. And some guys, they really like the experience and the journey and every bowl an adventure. But I tend to get annoyed when the blend doesn't do what I expect it to do. So those kitchen sink blends are not my thing, but something like Velvet that they can keep consistent all those years, and bowl to bowl, pipe to pipe, it's exactly what you expect it to be. That's up my alley. So.
Yep.
But I got to say this, and I if we're talking about Velvet, and anybody out there wants to try it, Velvet is a very simple blend. It is just a cube cut, burley blend. Rough cut now, not cube cut, excuse me. It's a rough cut burley blend. Velvet has a unique top note to it. It's licorice and maple sugar according to the old advertising. You can see it on the cardboard displays that they used to put the tins on. And on certain ads they used to put out in the Saturday Evening Post and things, they would advertise exactly what the flavors were. You don't see it a lot, and you won't see it if you go to tobaccoreviews.com. It'll say, liquor, other, or something like that. But whatever it is, that unique combination, a lot of guys describe it as smelling like a fresh pack of crayons, like Crayola crayons or Play-Doh. I don't know that it smells that way, and I've described it to other people that, to me, especially when I open up a fresh tub of Velvet and I smell it, or when I'm smoking it, I get the smell because I'm a big fan of old radios and television sets, troop sets and things, and working on them. But that smell when you turn on old electronics and the components warm up, the plastics and the heat. Yeah. It's not a disgusting artificial chemical smell to me. It's this warm, nostalgic, musty, in a good way kind of smell. And I like the taste of Velvet. It's very enjoyable and consistent and smooth, but I love and I adore the aroma of Velvet, both in the pouch and in the smoke. And I always take the time to smell it, gently inhale that aroma. And it's a wonderful thing to enjoy about any blend you like. It's a whole other layer of flavor to appreciate the smell of that smoke in the room with you, if you have the luxury of being able to smoke in a room. And for those of you, Eric, who don't, I'm deeply saddened and sorry. I made a video about trying to get your wife to let you smoke in the house. I suggest you watch it.
I've seen some of the things that Eric's been typing up here, so he deserved that.
I'm sure he does. I know he does. I know him well enough.
Yes. So there was a question that I really want to hear the answer to.
What's that?
Where is it now? It was from Full Dottle, and most embarrassing pipe story or newbie mistake.
Oh God, there's more than one.
Oh, good.
Because again, remember when I started smoking a pipe, guys? When I tell this story, the one I'm going to tell, remember I had to hide my pipe smoking because I was not yet of legal age to consume tobacco products. So one of the things I used to do, and I know that my mother does not watch this channel, so I can get away with admitting this. I used to smoke in our upstairs bathroom, and I would open the window, and I would hang out the window, and the part of the roof that was beyond that window went right over my parents' bedroom. Because we were up on the second story, my sister and I. And she knew I smoked a pipe, and she would help cover for me and things like that. But when I thought my parents had gone to bed for the evening and I was going to get away with it, I would, pull my pipe out and the tobacco from under my bed, and I would go into the bathroom, and I would turn the bathroom fan on, lock the doors. There was a door that went in my sister's bedroom, one that went to mine. I'd lock both those doors. And I'd knock on the door so my sister knew I was smoking my pipe, so she tried to cover for me. She was a sweetheart. I was leaning over the edge of the window like I always did, so I'd wouldn't get caught. And my pipe fell out of my mouth with lit tobacco in it into the gutter. And my parents were sleeping right underneath that part of the roof. And I didn't know how dirty the gutters were, and I didn't know that if there was going to be a fire in that. Now, thankfully, this story does not end with the house burning down, but it does end with me crawling out onto the roof to fish out my pipe out of the gutter and make sure our house didn't burn down. But I wasn't worried about that at the time. I was worried that my parents were going to hear me thumping around, and I wasn't going to be able to smoke my pipe anymore.
Uh-huh.
So that would be one. I mean, there's other ones too, putting the pipe in your mouth upside down after you start and all the hot ash dumping on your lap while you're driving. I did that once. After I had gotten my actual driver's license and I was, driving I had a 1997 Chevy Cavalier was my first car. And I had lit a pipe and I'd set it down and I don't know exactly how it happened, but if you guys remember the car, if anybody had a 97 Chevy Cavalier, it didn't exactly have a good place for you to put your pipe in the center. So it had kind of tipped over, and I kind of caught it with my hand and then was holding onto it, but it was a Missouri Mission Legend or something with a straight stem. I picked it up, but I picked it up upside down, and it dumped the hot ash right down my lap onto the seat. Oh. So ever after that, I had a big old char mark right on the seat of my car. Thankfully, no one else noticed that because I was still, even then, a year or two off from being legal to smoke pipe. But stupid things like that.
Well, we all, I'm sure, have stories like that. It's just that I've got you on the hot seat, so I get to ask.
No, they're fun stories, and they've been long enough now that it doesn't hurt anymore.
Sure. And I was glad when you said you weren't so worried about the house burning down, you were worried about waking your parents up, because I thought you were going to say you were worried about getting your pipe back.
Well, I did get the pipe back.
Of course.
I knew where it was. But, I didn't, I wasn't thinking about that, but I knew that if I didn't, this calls back to another stupid story. I told you before that my mother was a 4-pack-a-day smoker when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was very conscious of my parents' feelings about flame and things like that in the house, because one time, one of my jobs as a child was actually to go around and empty my mother's ashtrays while I was collecting the garbage from around the house. This is a true story, by the way. And my mom would usually have, these ashtrays, these big glass crystal ashtrays, these old-fashioned ones that were piled up with cigarette butts.
Mm-hmm.
And usually when I was collecting around, she was pretty good about making sure she hadn't left one in there that was still hot that could catch fire. But for some reason, either she or I weren't paying enough attention, and I dumped her cigarette butts out of her ashtray in the living room, along with the other ones out of the bathroom and the other places she kept them. And I had gone upstairs, and I had to use the bathroom. So I set that garbage bag down on my bed, on the mattress of all things, and it caught fire. And that was probably maybe a year to a year and a half before I dropped my pipe out the window onto the roof. So I thought, my mom was mad at me she wasn't mad that she put a lit cigarette butt into the garbage bag for me to take around the house and then take outside.
Mm-hmm.
She was mad that I set the garbage bag down on my mattress and didn't think that it might catch on fire. What was I supposed to know, But, I had that in my mind when I saw that pipe tumble down and it landed in that gutter. I thought, geez, if it catches fire, I'm going to get in a lot of trouble and I'm never going to be able to smoke my pipe again.
Oh, that's great. I mean, it's not great that your mattress caught fire, but it's a funny story.
No, it was. I got a new one out of the deal.
Oh, well, even better. I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah, I wish I'd thought of it, then I could take some credit.
Well, Ben, it's a little bit after 9. Really appreciate this, but I think we should probably start to wrap up here. So thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure the folks watching have enjoyed it as well.
Well, I'm actually looking forward to having a chance to go back and read all the rest of your comments after the video is up for a little bit. But thank you for having me here tonight, Mike. It was a real pleasure. And again, I really like that you're doing this and giving everyone a chance to get together and have a pipe and enjoy each other's company. I think that it's the very, very best of using this social media, and I hope it goes very well for you in the future. If you ever, are running out of good quality people to talk to, I'm around.
Thanks a lot, Ben. Thanks, and you take care, okay?
Thank you, Mike. You too, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye now.
Bye.
Well, guys, hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Ben is always a lot of fun to talk to, and he certainly had some really, really interesting stuff to tell us tonight. Some very fun stories. Eric, he's going to read these, Thank you, I think, WKR Piper. Never been compared to Brian Dennehy before, but I'll take it as a compliment. And it is quite sad that he passed away. Have a good night, Frank. Sure thing, Eric. Got to get you on soon. Well, you can't go out to the microbreweries. Sorry to hear that, Couch, but you can catch the replay. Good to see you. Oh, I'm trying to light the flintless Zippo here. Oh, Couch, I forgot to ask Ben to sing. I completely forgot about that. Night, Simplex. Yeah, Voodoo, we have to wait for it to get a bit warmer so we can get Eric on the porch. Thank you, AA Pipe Man. Night, Mark. Have a good one. Peter, you're on my list too. I'll catch up with you eventually. Thanks, Meerschaum Mountaineer. I can't quite remember, Christian. There was some joke last time about getting Ben to sing something, but I can't remember what it was. He was pretending to sing in the chat. Yeah, Briarfiend, that was definitely a problem. What were they thinking? Bayou Morning, good stuff. Thank you, Alan. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Chuck. Thank you, WKR Piper. I'm just glad that folks are finding it worth watching. I don't pay much attention to the numbers because I don't care if it's just 10 guys that show up. We're getting together, we're having a pipe, we're having some fun. That's all that really matters. But I do want to sort of put out a request for you guys. When I started this, I was hoping that we would get to hear from some of the guys that aren't making YouTube videos. So if you're in that category and you'd like to be in the, I hate to call it the hot seat because as you can see, it's just a chat. But if you want to be on some Friday, I'd love to have you. So think it over, especially if you're thinking about starting to make videos, because it's a great way to, put out your first video, and then you can come on here and promote it, and you're going to get a nice audience hearing about your first video experience. That's interesting, Takeo. All right, Christian, I'll hold you to that. See, it's only out of it. Thanks for that tip, man. Thank you, Full Dawdle. I'm glad you enjoy it. Absolutely, Pipe Writer. If I don't get in touch, send me an email. Or I don't know if I have your email, so send me an email, canerodpiper@gmail.com. Sure thing, WKR Piper. Would love that. So next week it'll be a solo live stream. I really should learn to check the calendar before I go live so that I can tell you who's going to be on the week after. I know we have a guest for the following week, but I do not remember who it is. But I'll update you in the days to come. Don't forget, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, there'll be a live stream giveaway. Chance to win a 7LE Series 3 pipe and a tin of tobacco, which I also did not bring over here. The tobacco is that new Cornell & Deal Carolina Red Flake with the 18-year-old Perique. So you get a tin of that and a brand new pipe to smoke it in. Smoking it. There we go. Thanks, Tony. Look forward to seeing you next week then. That's good. A good point, Steve. So there's an example of Kilted Steve Piper was a guest and put out videos right after that, or maybe even a little bit before that, but it coincided well. Well, Couch, that's a real plus. If you promise you won't sing, I'll definitely have you on. In fact, I might start doing that as a prerequisite. One of the questions when I'm trying to get somebody to come on is, making them promise they won't sing, because it could get ugly. And we do have, we're into June now with the calendar. So if you do want to get in touch and schedule something, it's not going to get scheduled until probably late summer. So you got plenty of time. Vikings not known for their singing. It's a good idea, Adita. I'll see if I can get in touch with Onion and see if he'd like to be on. Full smoking bar, great. Yeah, I got you on the list. Mark, I think we'd make an exception. We'd love to hear your Frank Sinatra. Takeo Kimura, you're absolutely right. At least no dancing on video. If you want to dance, off on your own while you're listening, that's strange, but you can do it. Just no dancing on video. Thank you, Fireman Piper. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm sure it'll be fine, Mark. It's another good idea, Mark. I'll have to see. I know Sarge works in the evening, so it's a little bit harder to get him to commit to something like this. This is a LL Bean pipe. It's actually made by Graybo, and I'm actually smoking some velvet here in honor of our guest tonight. But it is empty. So I'm going to finish up the night with my favorite little basket billiard and some Sir Walter. Yeah, absolutely. Sarge is out there working for us, and we appreciate it. Take care, Rob. Good to see you. Doug Owen, I don't know if he's got an answer to that. Ben, if you're still on, do you have a favorite pipe? I know he prefers Lovitts and Canadians, that sort of shape. But I don't know if he has a favorite. I'm working on it, Kilted Piper Steve. It's just a matter of having some time to play with it. I really like the LL Bean pipes, Jim. They smoke well. They've got a really cool stinger filter system. There you go. There's Ben's answer to favorite pipe, the one that's full of tobacco. And he says Lovitts, apples, Canadians, and billiards. Oh, I'm glad you're enjoying that, Mark. Yeah, they're great pipes. I really like them. Do you use the pipe cleaner filter? It was not intentional, pipe writer. Oh, Chuck, I just don't think about it. Pipes and Bees asks, where does Sir Walter fit in? I assume you mean in terms of the over-the-counters, and I like it. It's certainly one of the top 2 or 3 OTCs. Carter Hall is the one I like most, but this would be a close second, I think. And maybe there's another one that's a close second. The one OTC that I really don't like is Granger, and it just doesn't agree with me for some reason. Oh, Jim, I'll look forward to seeing that. That sounds like a really fascinating video. Thanks for attending, Fuldato. It was good seeing you, buddy. WKR Piper, Graybo makes some great pipes. You know, there's absolutely no reason not to enjoy it. What would I say Carter Hall compares to? You know, there's a couple of blends that I can say are reminiscent of Carter Hall, but I can't really say that Carter Hall compares to anything that most people would know about. It's a Burley Virginia blend. It's slightly sweet, has a nice topping. That's all I can really say about it. You got to try it. It's a good blend. It's easy to smoke, but I can't tell you that it's like this other one. Doug, that would be, if you would, I would love to get in touch with Tom. I don't know how to do it. I don't have his contact information, but he's been suggested several times, and I certainly would love to have him on. So I appreciate that if you could. Yeah, holy smokes, I was trying to cover that up, but that one just really, it doesn't give me tongue bite, but it's just very hot on my tongue. It seems to burn very hot. Yeah, Mark, I'm with you on that. Carter Hall's kind of my velvet as well. Although honestly, I have not been smoking much Carter Hall lately. Actually, Haunted Bookshop has become my velvet, if truth be told. Corvette Jim, thanks so much for stopping in. You have a good evening. That sounds really cool, Wisconsin Woodsman. Velvet logo tooled onto a leather tobacco pouch. Yeah, Voodoo, unfortunately that's empty. It's been sitting there for years empty. I've been meaning to keep screws in it or something. Just put it back there. Yeah, half and half is fine, Mark. You know, there's so many of these over the counters that are similar enough. And to me, you've got ones like Carter Hall and Sir Walter that are a little bit above. And then, and again, this is just personal preference. For me, Prince Albert and Granger are kind of at the bottom. Everything else is somewhere there in the middle, and they're all perfectly fine blends. Todd A., are you asking how you smoke cube cut burley? If that's the case, it's real easy. You just scoop your pipe into it, shake it off, make sure you're a little bit below the top because it will expand when you light it. And light it and enjoy it. All right, Briar Fiend, you have a good one. Thanks a lot. You better hurry, Everett. Yeah, Mark, I've said this before. Haunted Bookshop is a blend that changes dramatically after just 4 to 6 weeks of keeping it in a jar. And I think it's because Cornell and Diehl blends a lot of their stuff almost on demand. So what you're getting is very, very fresh. And the flavors just haven't had time to meld. But I see dramatic differences in Haunted Bookshop and Old Joe Krantz after just 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, Christian, that's a good point. The cube cut, you don't want to pack that too tight. You'll never get it lit properly. Just scoop it into the bowl and go. Oh, that's a good point, Doug. I hadn't thought about that 50% Virginia. So that's, if you're not a Virginia guy, that might surprise you with half and half. And for originals, good stuff, Chris. I like that a lot. I've really enjoyed most of the Amphora blends. I haven't tried several of them, but the ones I've tried have all been good. Yep, Pipe Smoker 795. I have tried Chatham Manor, which is the match for Carter Hall. I don't like it as much as Carter Hall, but it's just personal preference. Nothing wrong with it. Just I can get Carter Hall for the same price, so that's what I choose. Well, folks, I'm going to call it a night in about 5 minutes. I think that'll take us out to 9:30. Yeah, the new Bengal slices. I used to smoke the old Bengal slices, and the new ones are really an excellent match to what it used to be. Good stuff. So we still got over 100 people here. I'm really happy to see that. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. I hope that it brought a little bit of normal back into your lives. I was thinking when Ben was talking and we had 145 folks here, this is probably the largest gathering of pipe smokers on the planet tonight. And I can say that with confidence because I know there's not many large gatherings on the planet right now. But that's pretty remarkable that we can get together like that and just enjoy a pipe and enjoy one another's company. I appreciate you guys stopping in and spending the time with me. So hopefully I'll see you on Saturday for the giveaway live stream, 4 p.m. Eastern. If not, I'll probably put a video out on Sunday just to say hello. And I'll be back next Friday at 8 p.m. with a solo live stream. So you guys all have a great evening. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a good night now.